Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. This is the series where I talk about what I have been reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I'll be reading next, and some other bits and bobs thrown in. Kicking it off with what I've already read, I have picked up my reading slightly since the last time we spoke. Thank goodness, or it would have been a very tragic month for me indeed. I finished 4 books. First thing I finished was Shanghai Immortal. This I'd been reading for a couple of weeks. It was a library book read. I have returned all my library books, so I don't have it to wave at you, but it does look like this. I thought that this was okay. It wasn't something that particularly sparked joy for me. It was one of those books where I went, yep, glad I read it, moving on with my life. I thought it had some really interesting world-building elements to it. It's just not a book that particularly grabbed me, so I don't have a huge amount to say. I think if you enjoy a slightly irreverent fantasy book, this might be a win for you. Just didn't quite work for me. After that, I finished my reread of Mammoth by Jill Bagachinsky. This is a YA contemporary that I'm rereading for an overbooked video. YA contemporary, hard to talk about on the channel because I feel like it doesn't quite fit the general theme. However, this is one of my favourite YA contemporaries. It's a really lovely story about a girl who goes on an internship to a paleontological dig, where she digs mammoths, and that's why it's called Mammoth, but also she is plus size, and it's kind of about bullying and body acceptance and women in STEM, and it's a great read, and I highly recommend it. I'm filming a video for it today, so when you see me in this outfit again, talking about this book, you'll know. I'm sorry, people are replacing boilers and or something across the road, so if you can hear saws and things, that's why. My insomnia is back. It's not great. I'm hoping it will go away very quickly, because it's not been fun, but that has meant that I've been doing some burning of the midnight oil and reading of the midnight book. So I finished Bryony and Roses by Kingfisher. This is a reread, short book, novella length kind of thing, that is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It was one of my favourite books a few years ago, as in I put it on my favourite books list. It has maintained its favourite status. It's so good. It's fantastic. It's Beauty and the Beast, but the beauty character is a gardener, and there's a lot to do with roses in there. It's really beautiful. Reading it now, having read a lot more T. Kingfisher, I can definitely see the influences of this in her other work and vice versa. I just think this is fantastic. It's such a good book. I highly recommend it. And the last thing that I finished just now, and it is a reread as well, of Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. This is a YA fantasy romance book, rereading for overbooked, so there will be a video out soon. It's a very lovely fantasy romance. I really don't like the cover, but putting the cover aside, lovely fantasy romance. If you like a YA tropey kind of book, this is for you. A witch who can't control her powers accidentally curses her dad, so she has to go work with the local wizard who just happens to be very dreamy and her lost childhood best friend. It's a good time. I am in the middle of 3 things. I'm still at the same place as I was in The Hollow Places, which is the T. Kingfisher that I was reading. I have not progressed it because I had to pick up the audiobook of, I left the actual physical book over there, but it doesn't matter because it's not the right cover, of Reaper of Souls by Rena Barron, because that is the series I'm currently working on, and I decided the best thing to do was to read it by audio, and I'm really enjoying that audiobook, and when I finished all 3 of those, I'll come back and finish Hollow Places if my library loan doesn't run out. I do apologise. Kingdom of Souls, not Reaper of Souls. Reaper of Souls is next, I think. Regardless, I'm enjoying that book. I'm still really struggling to find time for audio at the moment, so I'm hoping I can knuckle down and get some more of that read and really have opinions on it at some point in the future. And lastly, my other midnight reading book from yesterday was The Past is Red by Catherine M. Valente, or possibly Valent, not sure. It is a book about a future world where everybody is living on essentially a garbage land, that because humanity has basically destroyed the earth, everyone's living on this garbage island, and it's very kind of metaphorical and abstract, but it's very beautiful, and I'm really enjoying it as a book so far, but I do need to wait until the middle of the night to finish it off. Still to read this week, I have a couple of bits and bobs that will probably spill into next week. I'd really love to get a reread of Legends and Lattes done, again for Overbooked Phase 2. Kingdom of Souls, Reaper of Souls, both of them need finishing. And lastly, as we shuffle into books that I have added to my TBR, I have After the Forest by Kel Woods, which is a Hansel and Gretel retelling, I think. Either out or coming out very soon. I don't have the press release near me, but I'm looking forward to picking it up and seeing whether it's any good. It's a very beautiful hardback copy that's been sent to me, so I'm gonna devour it and have a good time. I really love these like dinky hardbacks. They're my favourites. 3 other new things were added to my TBR after last week I stupidly said it, I shouldn't have done. I said that my TBR was getting small and 3 NetGalley approvals came in, but I'm grateful because they are all things I'm really excited to read. First up, I have The Witch Would Not by Olivia Atwater. She also wrote the Regency Fairy Tales books, but this is Victorian fairy tales, so it's the same world, we've just moved on in time a little bit. This sounds really excellent, I'm looking forward to reading it. I also have Shadow Baron by Davinia Evans. This is the sequel to Notorious Sorcerer, so yes, I will be rereading Notorious Sorcerer, then picking up Shadow Baron and giving you a review for both of them. If I'm remembering correctly, my feelings at the end of Notorious Sorcerer were that the second book would either make or break it, so we'll find out if it's moken or broken. And lastly, The Hacienda, which has been out for a very long time but is finally getting a UK release. I have a review copy of the UK edition. I'll be reading it. I've heard really good things about this from so many different people. I'm looking forward to picking it up. Just checking my notes, After the Forest is already out. I think it came out at the start of October. In terms of other new releases, I do want to mention A Fireborn of Exile by Aliette de Bodard. That is out now, I think. It should be out by the time you're watching this. I do have a review video up for that if you want to check that out. And also Starling House, which is either out or not out yet. I can't quite work out the publication date on that one. But I also have a review video up for that if you want to check that out, whether it's out now or at the end of the month. In other news, it's been a very busy week. When is it not? I've just had a lot on because I'm getting ready to be on holiday next week. I'm really looking forward to it. It is also, coincidentally, but happily coincidentally, my rest week, so you will not see me in a weekly reading video next week. I'm looking forward to having a bit of a break and catching up on some of these audiobooks. I think is going to be my biggest priority. What have you been reading? What have you been up to? Let me know down in the comments below. I think if I had to pick a favourite from this week, it's been a lot of rereading, and I think it's probably Bryony and Roses was the most enjoyable read, although I did have an absolutely fantastic time reading Mammoth. But if we're talking books that really fit my personality a bit more, these were probably Bryony and Roses. Let me know all of the things down in the comments below. While you're commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. I'd like to say an enormous thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me and I will see you in the next one.